Hi guys, it's Usernamekate here and welcome back to my channel. So, today I've nabbed this absolute savage from work and I just thought, what video can I do on it? One of the most interesting things about this bike, if you haven't seen it yet, is the dash. The dash is absolutely insane. It's got so many features, so much functionality to it, that every time I ride it I discover something new. So I figured that I'd just do a video, talk you through it and show you how extremely impressive it is. So without further ado, let's crack on. So let's switch her on. Okay, so this is the main screen that you'll be greeted with when you switch on the S1000Rr M package. So what you have here is obviously your miles an hour. Then there you've got your gear indicator. In the middle, swooping across, you've got your revs. So at the top here you basically have some little things like fuel gauge, total mileage or odometer. You've got your tyre pressure sensors and then your range again, but that's completely customizable. You've got your modes, so you change the modes with the mode button. Sounds pretty obvious. So you press it and it'll change. So you've got 4 modes on the standard screen. You've got rain, you've got road, you've got dynamic, and you've got race. So I know this isn't strictly dash stuff, but you've got your heat grips there, so if you press that you'll see here that it lights up. 3, 2, 1. You've also got your time just in the bottom right hand corner. So that is basically the main view that you'll be greeted with. On the dash you see that blue arrow just here. When you go over to your menu button you kind of have a similar picture that kind of mimics that arrow down. So if you see that blue arrow on the screen, it means that you can actually go down. So we'll press the down button and we'll see where it takes us. So it takes you to your main menu. So as you can see, you can do this on the fly because you'll still be able to see your miles an hour. You've still got what mode you're in, you've still got whatever you set that to up there, in this case tank range, and you've still got your gear indicator. So you can carry on riding at your leisure, but you can be sort of mauling around with these bits and bats. So I'll start with the basics. My vehicle. Again, it's got that little arrow pointing down, so you know what to do. You press the down button and it'll take you to this screen which is called My Vehicle. So there's a nice picture of an S1000Rr, it's your vehicle clearly, and it just tells you some important things, again like your mileage, what your range is, and battery voltage, and it's got also your tyre pressures as well. Currently in bar, but you can change them to PSI. But these are showing as just dashes at the moment. It takes a little while, a few wheel turns, for it to actually calculate what your tyre pressures are. Here you can see there's blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You use the wonder wheel, so you just notch it and it'll take you to the side, which is an onboard computer. You notch it again, takes you to your trip computer. You notch it again, it shows your tyre pressures, and you notch it again and it tells you about your service requirements, so what mileage your bike needs to go in for its service, whether it's mileage or time, whatever comes first, this will tell you. So just going back one, notching it back, takes us to the tyre pressure screen. Now this is such a cool screen, I think. Basically you've got your specification as to what BMW recommends that you have in it. So you've got your 2.5 bar at the front and 2.9 at the rear. Now when you get rolling, it will tell you what your actual bar is, and this will tell you what the discrepancy is, whether it's too high or too low. And as you adjust your tyre pressures, you physically see it change on the screen, which I think is pretty cool. We've seen all those, so if you want to come off that, you just basically press the up button and it'll take you back to my vehicle. So moving on to the next screen, now I think this is particularly cool. This is the sport screen. So again, it's got the arrow so you know what to do, down button, and it takes you to this pretty sexy looking screen. I like to ride with it on this just because it makes you feel like a badass. But what this displays specifically, it's obviously you've got your miles an hour there. It's a lot smaller than the sort of main page one. You've got your gear indicator in the corner. You've got your revs around here. You've got how much traction control it's using percentage wise. It's got how much brake you're applying. And then in the middle, it's got the mother of all bragging rights. It's got the max sort of lean angle sensor. So I think I reached a pretty feisty 17 degrees on my commute to work this morning. But yeah, you get the point. It'll tell you sort of how much you lean the bike, which is pretty cool on a track day. You can look at that and just basically willy wave with your friends. So as you can see, there's a little blue arrow there, which means that it's just inviting us to another screen. So you find your wonder wheel, you notch it, and it gives you this screen. So instead of showing the brakes information on the right hand side, you've got lap timer, which is pretty cool. Now it's got an arrow pointing down, so we press the down button, you know what to do, and it takes you to the actual lap timer sort of screen. If you want to come out of it, you just press the up button and it'll take you back to that screen. And then you can see it's got another arrow just there, again inviting you to go right again. So when you do that, you've got this beautiful display, which doesn't look like a Yamaha's at all. And it's got the DTC, so the traction control just up here. You've got this funky format for your revs. You've got your lap timer there. You've got your lean angle sort of nuzzled in that little space. And again, you press the down button on the menu, it'll take you to your lap timer again. So you press back up. It's got an arrow there so we can go back across. And then if you want to come out of that, again, you just press the up button and it'll take you back to your main screen. So, navigation, media, telephone, these are all greyed out at the moment, but you can unlock them by going in your settings, pressing the down button, and just using that wonder wheel, or the wheel of fortune as I like to call it, and you just go into your connections. Now this is where you can connect your mobile device, rider's helmet, passenger helmet, but once you've connected to the mobile device, and it's really easy to do, that's when basically all these, which are bolded out or shadowed, will just spring to life. So with the navigation, in order to use that on this, you have to use a BMW app. You can download that and then download the specific maps depending on what sort of region or part of the country you're going to be riding to. Download the maps and then it will give you quite a basic turn-by-turn sort of navigation system, which is quite nice. It's not quite as detailed and sort of all singing, all dancing as the actual sort of nav 6s and stuff. But when you're on a sports bike, do you know, I don't even know if there's room for preparation for GPS. It's kind of not one of those bikes, so just to have it on, you know, the screen as turn by turn could get you out of a few situations if you get lost. Media, you can connect your albums and your songs and all that jazz to your intercoms, your headsets, and then it'll display the album art on the screen, which I think is pretty cool. And again, telephone, you can make calls, you can accept calls. Pretty good, pretty good. Moving on to settings now, this is where it gets really fruity. So, going down, scroll back up, you've got a RACETRACK setting. Now, as I showed you before, the modes on this is rain, road, dynamic, and race. When you go on the RACETRACK mode, it gets really interesting, so we'll switch that on. In RACETRACK mode, all connectivity functions are deactivated. Makes sense, no dramas. So to select the OK, you just spin the wheel, and then you notch it across to hit OK. So here it shows you the RACETRACK setting is activated. So you scroll down once, and this is where you can configure it. Now this is awesome. You guys aren't ready for it. You scroll across, Race Pro riding modes. So we're going to switch them on, which they are. Configure. Now there are 3 different modes. You've got Race Pro 1, Race Pro 2 and Race Pro 3. So here you can see that you can fine tune exactly what you want your sort of torque and throttle response and everything to be. You can control your engine braking, how extreme that is or how non-existent that is. Traction control, wheelie control, ABS, and then on this side you've got your dynamic, you know, damping at the front, and then you've got the C and the R, which is compression and rebound, which is all electronically adjustable, which I think is crazy. So if you want to adjust the settings, you've got a little arrow there that invites you, so we'll notch it over, and here you can really tailor what you want, and it tells you, it teaches you how to suck eggs basically. So engine here, we go across. So if we have it on 1, this is like the equivalent of having it in race mode. You've got optimum throttle response, you've got maximum torque, and you've got the off the throttle acoustics, which is all them pops and gurgles, which, let's face it, everybody loves those. Spin the wheel and it'll take you to level number 2, which is basically the equivalent of the engine being in dynamic mode, which is again optimal throttle response but slightly reduced torque in lower gears and off throttle acoustic activities as well. So it's nice how it breaks it down, because I am not a whiz kid when it comes to the ins and outs of things like, you know, all these customizable things. So the fact that it's there in black and white is quite nice. So you put it on 3, you've got a soft throttle response, maximum torque, and off the throttle acoustics is still active. Then you sort of whiz it round to number 4, and it's basically like the equivalent of it being in rain mode. You've got soft throttle response, reduced torque in low gears, and the off throttle acoustics are not active, so you're not going to get those like burbles and sexy noises. So we'll go back again, just using the wonder wheel to, you know, turn. Engine braking, you go on that. Set on number 1, you've got minimum brake effective engine. Scroll around to number 2, is like it being in race mode. On the normal mode settings, you've got medium brake effective engine, and then you go to 3 and it's basically like it being in road mode, so you've got maximum sort of engine braking, which is good when you're sort of, you know, in road riding conditions. So to go back, we notch it back, and we slide down to traction, so DTC. We go across here, you've got your number 1 setting for traction, which is race, so it's maximum performance. You scroll it to 2, it's high performance, which is the equivalent of it being in dynamic. Road, high stability, and then rain, maximum stability. So you have full control, and you can tailor these to exactly your needs, which I think is pretty interesting. Wheelie, this is the one that has everybody chuckling like a little schoolgirl when you put it on. No support. But yeah, you can put it in 1, which is high wheelie possible, minimum support. 2, race, so slight wheelies possible, optimal drive, and then rain, maximum stability. You will not be getting it up, tee-hee. Slide across, ABS. So here you can put it in 1, which is minimum on the front, completely off on the rear. You put it in 2, it just shows you how it changes. So you've got a bit on the rear this time. Put it in number 3, it's basically like it's in dynamic, so it's medium, 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 min, min. And then when it's in road mode, it's max, 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 medium, medium. And then of course when it's in rain mode, it's just like super safety mode. So everything is up to the max. Going across, you've got the DDC, which is the front and the rear. So you can get really in depth with how you want the bike to feel under you. So front damping, you go across. Look how much you can mess around with this. There are so many levels to literally fine tune it exactly how you want. So you've got rear compression, again, you've got all that to play with. And you've got the rebound, which is exactly the same. So if we go back, and then if you want to reset it, you can of course reset it. It'll give you the option, because everything that you've set will be lost and it will go back to factory. So I've just probably put it in loads of funky modes, so I'm going to go reset now. So it's just back to what it was originally. So we go back, press the notch, and it'll take you to Race Pro 2. So you can go across, rinse, repeat, do it all the same. But what I think is really cool is you could set this bike up for, say, Oulton Park dry, Oulton Park wet, and you can sort of fine tune it and tailor it and have the bike behave exactly how you want it. And I think there's a lot of fun to be had, you know, discovering what works for you. I think that's quite an interesting thing, really. So yeah, go across there, you've got your light warnings, pit lane limiters, configuration for that. Go back across, vehicle settings. So here you can get rid of a warning that comes up if your tyre pressures aren't right. Please ignore that noise in the background, I have a cat scratching at something. Yeah, so you can basically turn off the tyre pressure warnings, and the reason why you'd want to do that is obviously if you're on a track day, you're going to want to run your pressures very different from what BMW recommend. You're going to want to drop them considerably, so it will just stop it flagging up on the dash and doing your head in when you're trying to concentrate on going fast. So HSC Pro, this is basically the hill start control, so you can put it on manual, you can put it on auto. Now I have it off, but I'm really looking forward to using this because I am really short and this bike is really tall, and I think I just benefit from it just holding it for a split second whilst I introduce the revs and let the clutch out and just stop it rolling back. I know you've got your back brake for it, but that basically means you're being on one leg, and when you're stumpy like me, it's not the easiest. So a lap timer, again, you can go into that and do all these crazy things that I don't understand. If you know what debounce time means, let me know in the comments. But yeah, you can calibrate your DDC, which is the damping and all that jazz. So there's lots of things that you can do. System settings, so this is all the basic stuff like time and dates. Units, this is where you can change it to kilometers from miles an hour. You can change your MPG to all sorts. You can change your pressures to PSI, which I personally prefer, and you can change your temperature. So notching it back, you can change your language, but if I was to go off English, I probably would never be able to find my way back to that, so we'll just stay off that for now. Connections, I roughly went over that with you before, how you can connect to your mobile. Display, you've got your brightness, so it's on 60%. You can ramp that up to 100. Doesn't make a massive difference, but I'm sure it would at night time. Again, you put it on 20%, which really dims it. So we'll leave it on 60, which is what it comes with. Status line content. Now this is what I was telling you about before with this. So you can actually select what information you want to see. So you whiz across with the wonder wheel if it focuses, and you can just select what you want to see. So if you want to add a trip, you know, you can add that. If you want to, let's have a look. Basically everything on there is what I would want, but I've just added trip. So if you were to go back and you were to go on the main screen, if you're scrolling across by pressing the up bit on the menu button, so we had fuel gauge before, we had odometer, and now we've got trip because we selected it. So just finally, the last thing you've got is basically information, which is all licenses and software versions and stuff, which you don't really need to sort of know about. That's just if you have a software update, it'll tell you, you know, what sort of software like thing you're at, basically. I don't know the technical term, I'm not an IT geek, sue me. So yeah, that's kind of everything, guys, on this bike. I think it's really, really fantastic. I just think there's so much to be going at, and I think it's just nice that you have that option to customise it so much. If you have this bike and you ride it in certain modes, let me know, you know, what you ride it in, what your preferences are. Do you stick in the sort of, you know, rain? In fact, let's have a look. Oh, so we're still in Race Pro, Race Pro 2, Race Pro 3. So if we go back, it shows you the DTC there as well, which is quite good. If we go back into settings, we'll take it off that racetrack. So then you've just got your road, dynamic, race, which is probably what I should leave it in for the next customers that want to demo it, unless they're absolute maniacs and want to really get a feel for what it can do. So yeah, hopefully this video has been informative. I know it's quite a long one, but there's a lot to get through on this thing. So yeah, let me know what you think of it in the comments. Please feel free to subscribe. I'm always so grateful when you guys subscribe, particularly when you like and comment. I love reading through the comments and I try and reply to as many as I can. But yeah, I'm hoping that the next video regarding this beautiful thing will be a vlog, an actual riding video, where I just ramble on about what I think about it, what I think about the performance. So yeah, stay tuned, subscribe, and until next time, ride safe and take care.